Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Martin Phillipson. I'm the Dean of the College of Law, and I'm delighted that you've all joined us here today for the first year welcoming ceremony. It's a special day for our incoming students, and your presence makes it even more special for them. So I'd like you to please stand and join me in welcoming our new first year students. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. You can be seated. Welcome, students, honored guests, cloakers, family, friends, faculty and staff, and those of you watching online. We're also happy to be joined today by Chief Shelley Bear of the Achapoways First Nation, who is here in support of student Keona Kote. Looking out of this hall, we're so excited that so many of you have joined us as we formally welcome for our first year students to the College of Law. I'll begin by acknowledging that we're on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis, and we pay our respects to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place, and we reaffirm our relationship with one another. The first year welcoming ceremony is a ritual marking the beginning of a new intellectual and professional journey, one that will be transformative, enriching, and often painful for students embarking upon their legal studies. And that was a joke, by the way. You're supposed to laugh at jokes. Yeah, anyway, there'll be a few of those just dropped in to see if you're still awake. This is the 112th entering class The College of Law is the oldest law school in Western Canada, and our first class graduated in 1912. There's a rich intellectual tradition and a rich tradition of service, and many of our guest speakers today epitomize that culture of service that is the hallmark of the school and the graduates of these schools. So no pressure. You just have 111 years of really smart, intelligent, successful, and people dedicated to service to live up to. So as I say, no pressure. Part of the ceremony includes having our first years recite the student commitment. This commitment is derived from the University of Saskatchewan's Learning Charter. The Charter is our commitment to ensuring that our university is open to learning, engagement, and to provide opportunities for everyone and all peoples of Saskatchewan and beyond. With this sense of welcome, we want to recognize and appreciate the knowledge, talents, and skills and the ways of teaching and learning that people bring with them. You'll find the student commitment in your program, along with the commitments for the institution and for our faculty. These commitments define the responsibilities each party holds to ensure every student receives an optimal learning experience. I want to make a special mention of all the folks on the balcony and acknowledge how important each of you are in supporting the students and getting them here. Your parents, your partners, your grandparents, your children, your family, and friends. And the support you have provided, both emotional and financial, and the support will you continue to provide to these students is critical and does not go unnoticed. I say this at convocation, but I also say it today, that going through law school is a team sport. It's not a solo effort. You have to work with your classmates, partner with your classmates, learn from your classmates, but also rely on the support networks who keep you whole, keep you healthy, and keep you engaged. And so I would actually like a round of applause from the students for the folks on the balcony, please. Today we're welcoming 126 first-year students to the college. They come from all parts of Canada, far and wide, and have a wide variety of professional backgrounds behind them. Just a few examples. We have educational systems, journalists, bankers, police officers, stonemasons, social workers, chefs, and their educational backgrounds are just as varied. Graduate degrees in the life sciences, anthropology, we have sports management students, geography, marketing, music performance, soil science. And again, that's just a sample of the broad range of talents, skills, and disciplinary knowledge that they bring. It's a real privilege to be a law professor because you get to teach really, really smart, educated people, most of them anyway. And you learn from them too. And so, but it is a real privilege to be a law professor. I know I speak on behalf of the faculty that we're delighted that we get to hang out with really smart people and learn from them. And I'll just say that the students bring a unique combination of education and life experience, and I will share with the room what I tell the students on their first day of orientation. We chose you out of nearly 900 applicants this year. Usually we have anywhere between 850 and 1,000 applicants, and we picked 126. We've chosen you because we know that you have what it takes to succeed. You've worked very hard to get here, but I also tell them that this is a real opportunity, and there were several hundred of the other applicants would gladly take your place. So you also have a responsibility to grasp that opportunity and make the most of that opportunity. And more importantly, though, we know we chose you because we know you can succeed. And if you work hard and you're dedicated and you're collegial, you will succeed. And in 3 years' time, you'll be crossing the stage and shaking my hand with that piece of paper. And now we will begin the formal part of today's ceremony. In your program, you will find biographies for each of our speakers, and there are also biographies for the gown presenters, also referred to as the cloakers. However, first, I want you to join me in welcoming Joseph Netauhau to the stage. Joseph is the cultural advisor for the College of Law, and Joseph is going to bring greetings, say a blessing, and start the ceremony in a good way. Joseph.
It's always nerve-wracking to get up in a formal situation. I'm an artist in my last life, a musician, actor, and storyteller, so that's my previous life, and everything was all about love, kindness, joy, being creative. So welcome everybody to University of Saskatchewan, and also, I guess, to to be in our truth, we come from various nations, right? And in this country, we come from two nations, the Indigenous nation and the Canadian nation. That's the reality. You know, that's what I grew up with, old people telling me that all the time. You know, we're a nation within a nation, so not to forget that those that are coming from outside of Treaty 6 territory, you have to acknowledge the Treaty 6 nations that exist here. There's several of them. There's 5 major groupings. You know, the Nakota, Lakota, that's one big group. And then there's a Nihilwak, which I come from, Cree people. Nihilwak, Ninawak, so there's 3 dialects here, maybe 4. And then there's Nakainawak, or Soto, or Ojibwe, or Anishinaabe. They come in several. Everybody comes in with a different way of identifying themselves. But in my own heart, I know we are all from one race, and that's the human race. And we're here only to serve one another, to serve our brothers and sisters that we live with alongside. So being the cultural advisor at the Indigenous Law Center, I tried to inform the students, you know, that like to go and check on our community members, go and get to know somebody that's outside of your culture. You know, and the word Willie uses is a tamskagiun, a tamsko. So just turn to your left or right and just say, you know, just shake hands with your neighbor and just say who you are. My name is so and so. So just turn to your left or right and just say, Danse, hello. And the next question you would ask is, where are you from? Where are you from? So that's the next question, but I'm not going to go there. I just wanted to let you know that that's how we introduce ourselves. Yeah. Maximanto, so me go to sky. I go mean unigi come on, smake any postic. So it tomotaga mamoi, or wait to agota, gois come up by go mont matson, sknamagion. I come in go sky. I go some casiti, I go some geheimak, maga, gate damage, we stalk is a tapo gita. Ik zo meestal tot magis te magen nog skagisa. Ik zeg give it to them skat now. Hi. Thank you very much. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Joseph. If you get a chance to see Joseph's shoes, he always wears the most fabulous shoes. And I'm very jealous of his hat, too. But there we go. Best dressed man in the college, by far. I'm going to start introducing our speakers, and our first speaker I want to mention is Mike Maloney, KC, from the class of 1980, and the chair of the executive committee at McDougall Gawley LLP. McDougall Gawley is the sponsor of this event, and we're very grateful for their support. This is a big event, and it's an important event in the life of the college, and we're very grateful to McDougall Gawley for their support. So I'm going to ask Mike Maloney, KC, to come up and give a few remarks.
Thank you very much, Martin. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Your Honors. It's really a delight that McDougall Gawley is able to support this ceremony. We actually trace our history in the firm back to 1891. So by my poor math, we are 21 years older than the college. But what that really means is we've been the beneficiary for 111 years or so of you, of the graduates that come out of the college. That's one of the reasons we are proud to support this event. But the second reason was alluded to by the Dean, and that is you're here and have the opportunity to celebrate with your family. Now, this is a fancy event, and I can tell you that when I was in first year law school, and my friends and colleagues of my vintage will say the same thing, we didn't have this event. As I recall, I showed up on day one, and they handed me a schedule and said, good luck. Well, actually, they handed me a schedule, but that was it, and away we went. And things changed, but this is clearly a change for the better. And in 22 months from now of hard work, you will depart with that piece of paper, as Martin mentioned, but you really will depart with much more than that, and that is the colleagues and the friends you'll make in this institution. And it actually is much broader than that, because graduates of this school are across the country. They're in government, they're in courts, they're in boardrooms, and you will have that link permanently. And so you've earned this opportunity. Enjoy it. And on behalf of McDougall-Gawley, we want to congratulate you and welcome you on what will be this first step to tremendous careers. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks again to McDougall-Gawley. We currently have over 5,300 living alumni spread out across the world. One of the privileges of being dean is I get to travel the country and visit alumni. I've been to every province and territory, and we have alumni in every province and territory. And one thing I told the students on the first day, and I'll remind you all, is that you will meet University of Saskatchewan College of Law alumni somewhere, and there will be an instant bond when they find out that you are a graduate of this school. We have a remarkable group of alumni across the country, and it's a privilege to visit with them, and I'll be inviting some of the students to join me on some of my alumni visits so you can meet people from your hometown, from your province, from your nation, from wherever. I'd now like to invite the Honourable Chief Justice Robert Lura to bring greetings from Saskatchewan's Court of Appeal.
Thank you, Martin, and distinguished guests. I am delighted to bring best wishes on behalf of the members of the Court of Appeal to the University of Saskatchewan College of Law class of 2028 and their families. 8 of the 10 judges of our court are graduates of this college. It therefore holds a very special place in the heart of all of us. Now, I'm very cognizant that many speakers will follow me, so let me just make one simple point. It is to validate your choice to pursue a law degree. It almost seems redundant to say this, but this is an important day for all of you. It's important as a milestone. We all understand it's not easy to get into law school. You all have varied backgrounds. Some of you have struggled mightily to be here. Regardless, you've accomplished much just by being admitted to the college, and you're to be commended for that fact. But this day is an important day for a much larger reason. The choice you made to pursue a law degree is an important one and a good one. In the next 3 years, you will learn the technical details of many laws. To this very limited extent, law school might be equated to vocational training. But a law degree provides so much more than that. Most of all, you will learn to think like a lawyer. Now, some quick wits may attempt to view this as a negative, but I view it very differently. A well-trained lawyer, and I am confident that you will receive that kind of training, thinks critically. That person is broad-minded. They learn to rely on evidence, not assumption. They make decisions based on reason, not passion or prejudice. A properly schooled lawyer learns the societal context within which society's rules operate, have been made, and might be reformed. They also learn to be objective or detached within the boundaries of what any of us can do. More concretely, it's impossible to come away from the study of law without appreciating that most issues have many dimensions. Certainly, it's impossible to properly represent a client, whether that be in negotiation or in court, without understanding not only your client's perspective, but the other party as well. Now, through your studies, you will come to appreciate even more than you likely do at present, that very little in life is black and white. I expect that most of you will use your law degree as I did, that is, as a gateway to the profession of the practice of law. Some of you, either now or in the future, may decide to use your legal education in some other way, whether that to be teach, in business, to work as a journalist, to serve in public office, or so on. In this regard, a law degree provides a foundation to contribute to our society in many, many different ways. However you choose to use your legal education, given today's increasingly polarized world, it has never been more important to learn to think like a lawyer. So I wish you all the best in your studies. I hope I'll have an opportunity to meet with many of you today and at various times through the rest of your time at the College of Law. Thank you.
As I told our first-year students on the very first day, the college has a proud history of successful graduates, prime ministers, governors general, diplomats, judges, business leaders. But I also always make the point of mentioning that we're just as proud of the thousands of graduates who weren't famous, but who served their clients, served their communities well, served their nations well, and provided service without expecting the accolades and the attributes of higher offices. So every single one of you will make a difference in somebody's life, many, many times. You will be dealing with people at some of the most difficult challenges they face. Should I get divorced? Am I going to jail? Am I going to go bankrupt? Is my business going to fail? Am I going to get deported? Whatever it may be, you will be dealing with people where they need your help, they need your advice, and they need your wise counsel. And every single one of our grads, regardless of whatever office they hold, makes a huge difference in people's lives. And we're proud of all the service that our graduates have provided in the past, and we'll be proud of the service that you do as well. I'd now next like to call on the Honourable Chief Justice Martel Popescu, who will bring greetings from the Court of King's Bench of Saskatchewan.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank Dean Phillipson and the College of Law for inviting me to address you on this incredibly special and momentous day. I'm immensely proud to be a graduate of the University of Saskatchewan's College of Law. I sat, more or less, where you are now sitting 48 Septembers ago when I started law school. Time goes by very quickly. Many things have changed. Now, everyone has a cell phone and a laptop computer, and most legal research is done online. Back then, there was no Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Marijuana was illegal. COVID-19 was a half-century away. Gerald Ford was the President of the United States, and Trudeau, Pierre, not Justin, was our Prime Minister. However, some things never change, and one of those things is this. This College of Law remains one of the best law schools in the country. I was very honored and immensely proud to be part of it, and so should you. When I was thinking about what to say to you today, I reflected upon my years in law school and the legal career that followed. I decided that I would talk to you about two things: reputation and law school bonding. First, I'll talk about reputation. All of you have been accepted into the College of Law, and as has been mentioned, that is no easy feat and is a significant accomplishment in and of itself. You arrive here with diverse pasts and personalities. I will submit to you that you are now experiencing somewhat of a rebirth or renaissance. Whatever and whoever you once were has changed. You are no longer the silly kid in high school or the Kool-Aid guzzling champion on your street. You are all now law students, and in less than 3 short years, you will graduate and begin your preparations to enter the profession. As Chief Justice Lures mentioned, law school is not merely an extension of the undergraduate studies, it's the first step in your legal career. As Professor Kingsfield said in the iconic movie The Paper Chase, you come here with a skull full of mush, and you will leave here thinking like a lawyer. You have the opportunity right now to start to create the reputation that you will carry with you for the rest of your life. It all starts now. If you are fortunate enough to develop a good reputation, you will gain the respect of judges, your colleagues, your clients. A good reputation is unbelievably valuable as an asset that will make the practice of law much easier and will trigger immeasurable rewards. Develop and protect a good reputation, and that all starts now. The second thing that I would like to leave you with today relates to the common bonding experience that you will share with your classmates, those very people that are in this room today as you journey through law school. Over the next 3 years, you will work hard, and if you're anything like me, you'll play hard. You will be stressed, you'll be embarrassed, you'll be elated, you'll be fatigued, overworked, filled with self-doubt, and question what is right and what is wrong. However, you will not be alone. You will be concurrently experiencing this same constellation of emotions with approximately 126 of your classmates. The psychological bond that you'll develop over the next 3 years, you will share mutual experiences during challenging times, and this will result in your classmates becoming your lifelong friends and colleagues. My class, for example, has produced many of the top lawyers in the province, 2 other justices of the Court of King's Bench, several provincial court judges, a former Chief Justice of the Court of Appeal, who will be our keynote speaker in a few minutes, and last but not least, my wife. Enjoy, cherish, and respect those people. In my day, failure rates after first year were high. First year law students were told, look to your left, look to your right. At the end of first year, one of those 2 people won't be there. Fortunately, as I said earlier, those times have changed. If you work hard and work smart, there should be no reason to fail. If you work hard and you work smart, the proper epitaph might be, look to your left, look to your right. Both of those people are your classmates and likely to become lifelong friends and colleagues. May I humbly suggest that you not get mired down in the mud too much as you struggle to learn complex legal principles and try to keep up with the crushing workload. Instead, do your best to rise above it and try to make the best of the situation in which you find yourself. Strive to take advantage of the tremendous opportunity that you have before you. Don't miss a chance to make friends and learn everything that you can learn. You will be better off for it. The law school years were some of the best years of my life, and I hope the same holds true for you. I cannot tell you that they will be easy years, but I can tell you that they will be worthwhile. You are entering a profession at a time of unprecedented opportunity. Welcome to the College of Law. Good luck, be safe, have fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Law school was the best 7 years of my life. Seriously, though. I have to say that I came here as a graduate student from England in 1989. And I have lifelong friends from then. Some of them are my faculty colleagues. I met my wife while I was here as a graduate student, and the college gave me a wonderful opportunity. Then now here I am, 35 years later? Good heavens, 35 years later, and it really is a place of opportunity. But I graduated from law school in England on the 200th anniversary of the French Revolution, so I never forget that one, which is good. But I still have lifelong friends back in England from law school. So law school is a really formative experience, but also these folks will help you get through, and you will make lifelong friendships. And there's people in the room with whom I have lifelong friendships, and it's one of the privileges of being in law school that you get to do that. So make the most of it. Next, I would like to welcome a former classmate, the Honourable Chief Judge Shannon Metivier will now bring greetings from the Provincial Court of Saskatchewan.
Good afternoon. It is my great pleasure to be here today to welcome you to law school and as future members of the legal profession. The legal profession is rooted in service, responsibility, and a deep commitment to the rule of law. Your training starts today. In law school, you'll be trained to think like lawyers by identifying legal principles and applying them to complex sets of facts. You'll be taught to do legal research and apply that knowledge to build legal arguments. You will learn to communicate those brilliant legal arguments by practicing oral advocacy and legal writing. You'll be introduced to legal ethics and professional responsibility to prepare for the professional challenges you will eventually face as lawyers. Additionally, you will have the opportunity to connect with your classmates, professors, and members of the legal profession. I encourage you to join organizations or activities in law school that interest you. It is a great way to meet people. Your classmates will not only support you through law school, they will become your work colleagues, and the relationships you build now will last far beyond graduation. I am very grateful for the legal education that I obtained at the University of Saskatchewan, which has led to a rewarding career for me and countless other graduates. When I began law school, it never occurred to me that I could become a judge, let alone the Chief Judge of the Province of Saskatchewan. Sorry, I stole your job. At the Provincial Court. Dare to dream. To be honest, after my first year moot experience, I didn't think that I would ever set foot inside another courtroom, at least voluntarily. I was a train wreck. My oral argument was sprinkled with nervous giggle, much like the one you just heard, a physical reaction to the anxiety caused by public speaking. When one of the moot judges asked me what relief I was seeking from the court, a reference to the legal remedy or outcome I was asking the court to grant, I had no idea what they were talking about. The only relief that I was seeking at that point was to run from the moot courtroom and possibly cry. To add insult to injury, John Gormley was in my moot group. Many of you will know John Gormley as a radio host from News Talk Radio. By the time he entered law school, he had already served as a member of Parliament and a radio host. John was an experienced and talented public speaker, which made the comparison between the two of us even more brutal. Fortunately for me, John and all members of my group and faculty were nothing but supportive, which probably kept me coming back to law school the next day. I'm sharing this very humbling experience with you for two reasons. First, to assure you that law school is challenging for most people and that it is normal to suffer setbacks and make mistakes. In those moments, extend grace to yourself and use them as opportunities to learn and to improve. Second, I want you to know that the legal profession is vast and varied and that there is a place in it for each and every one of you. I never thought that I would step inside a courtroom, and I ended up with the opportunity and honor of serving Chief Judge of the Provincial Court. Stay open to the possibilities and opportunities that will inevitably come your way. You never know where you might end up. And my last note will be, I'm just going to tell you that not everyone finds a spouse at law school. Mine is up there, and we met at a provincial park, so there are other places.
Thank you, Shannon. I've been a law professor here for 25 years and a law professor for 33 years, and one of the perils is that your students end up being more successful and richer than you are. And that happens quite a lot, and you have to just get used to that, but we all have our crosses to bear. On that note, I will now welcome Adam Tue to the stage, a former student of mine, who will bring greetings on behalf of the Law Society of Saskatchewan.
Good afternoon, honorable members of the bench, friends of the bar, Dean Phillipson, faculty, distinguished guests, and new law students. It is my distinct pleasure to bring greetings today on behalf of the Law Society of Saskatchewan. The Law Society regulates the practice of law in the public interest. In doing so, the Law Society is committed to increasing access to legal services, advancing truth and reconciliation, increasing equity, diversity, and inclusion, and promoting a culture of wellness amongst its members. 21 years ago, I started law school. I was 20 years old and had bleach blonde frosted tips, which I can assure you looked even less cool than you're imagining right now. At the time, I had no idea what the next 3 years or 20 years had in store. And looking back over the last 2 decades, what I can tell you is that the law school experience is unique, unlike any other. It will challenge your way of thinking, and it will stretch you in ways you may not yet imagine. Law school will also open many doors for you, one of which is articling and practicing law in the province as a member of the Law Society, something I hope you will consider doing. At its core, the practice of law is a helping profession. We enter this profession to serve others, whether by solving legal problems, advocating for justice, or guiding individuals and organizations through difficult moments. This work can provide a great sense of satisfaction, but it is also difficult and can be demanding. And if I can offer one piece of advice to you today, it is that as you begin this journey, don't forget to take care of yourself. You don't need to do this alone. Now, not only do you have 125 other students here who you can lean on for support, but you are lucky to be surrounded by lawyers across this province who are not just good lawyers, but good people, and who are willing to give their time to provide support, mentorship, and encouragement. Each one of those lawyers has been in your shoes, and I would strongly encourage you to seek out that support and advice as you begin your journey. You will be stronger for it, and ultimately, better equipped to help others. On behalf of the Law Society, I wish you the best as you begin this journey. Congratulations and good luck. Thank you.
And I can assure you those blonde tips were way worse than you can imagine. One of the privileges of being Dean of the College of Law is, as I said, the alumni and the quality of alumni we have, but also the support we get from the bench and the bar. There is not a law school in the country that could have one of these ceremonies and have the chief judges of all 3 courts show up and spend their time to give a speech. Not a province in the country where they would do that. We are remarkably fortunate that we have such support from the bench and from the bar in this province. Some of you later on in law school will take part in the Dean's Forum on Access to Justice, which is a fabulous initiative that the college has been running for over a decade. We can assemble the chief judges, we can assemble ministers, deputy ministers, leaders of the legal profession around a table, and students get to present their research and actually really influence policy outcomes. And again, there is not another law school in the country that can pull that sort of group together, because the dean or somebody just picks up the phone and says, "Can you come?" And they always say yes. When we presented a video at a major legal conference out in New Brunswick a few years ago about the Dean's Forum, my inbox blew up with wonderfully jealous emails from other deans saying, "How did you do that? How did you do that?" So, we just asked. And I think that's a testament, again, to the bonds that are made in this school, but also I just wanted to point out how grateful we are as a college for the support of the bench and the bar and the profession. And it means a lot to the school and enriches the educational experience of our students and also helps the students to become better lawyers. I also did that because our next speaker is my boss. And so I'm now very grateful to be joined by Peter Stoichev, the president of the university, who's going to bring greetings on behalf of the University of Saskatchewan.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful to be in Convocation Hall, a storied and iconic space. Some of you may remember Pierre Trudeau stalking right down the middle of this aisle. This room was, I think, arranged exactly as it was, thumbs in his belt to give a defiant speech about why he didn't like the West, right here. Tommy Douglas spoke from here. Yehudi Menuhin gave a memorable violin concert right on this stage. Prime Minister Diefenbaker lay in state on this stage. It's an iconic place, and it's befitting that we have this ceremony here today. Distinguished guests, Your Honors, I know I'm joined also by my colleague Baljit Singh, who's the Vice President Research at this university. I'm looking forward also to hearing from former Chief Justice of Saskatchewan, Bob Richards, who will deliver the keynote address shortly, right after I speak. And I just wanted to say a few words. First of all, congratulations to the new students to the law school. We have 17 colleges and schools at this university. There isn't another one that has a ceremony like this. I just heard the fact that it hasn't been going on for that long. It's a wonderful thing to do this. I really wanted to congratulate as well the families and other supporters who are here today. And I'm the parent of a law graduate myself, and I know that a parent feels pride, relief, at times astonishment at the fact that their kid is actually here and doing this. You'll feel exactly the same way, maybe even more so, slightly poorer perhaps, when your child graduates from this great university. And I do want to say to the students to take the opportunity to feel good about this achievement, and obviously take the time as well to thank all of those who supported you in your goal of being here today. I do want to set this in a bit of a university context as well, and we are here because the university has brought us together, and I find myself saying with greater and greater frequency these days that a university is a wonderful thing, crucial to the experiment that we call democracy, an experiment that we want to have a positive result and to keep on going. And we're so fortunate to be in Canada and to have the freedoms that we have. And given the world that we're in now, and some of the previous speakers were alluding to this, where it's difficult to separate out what's true and what's not true, where our future depends on knowledge and the correct use of it, where research, and we do a lot of research here as a research-intensive university, one of the finest in that regard in Canada, where research holds the key to our greatest challenges, and where particularly not only free speech but informed speech are critical to our humanity, universities are needed more than they have ever been. Excellent colleges of law such as this one are needed more than they have ever been. And the University of Saskatchewan, by extension, is needed, I would argue, more than it has ever been. And it's why we say that we govern ourselves not on the basis of what we want to be, but what the world needs us to be. And what all of you in this room go on to do in your lives, armed by a law degree from here, will matter immensely to our collective future, to everybody in this room and far, far beyond it. We need you to go on to promote social justice as really only law students can, and we need you to help the country understand how the freedoms we have are extraordinary, foundational to our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and deserving of respect. What you go on to influence as leaders will be difference makers for our collective futures. A law degree is a really powerful thing, a really powerful thing. Of all the degrees that this university bestows, a law degree is a really powerful thing, and you'll be holding that in your hands one day. I also find myself saying to prospective students and to graduating students as well that it's a real privilege to have a university education. And I often think not just of all the people who are acquiring one, but all those who aren't able to acquire one, possibly because it costs too much, possibly because the distances to get one are too great, possibly because their family circumstances haven't permitted it, possibly because they live in a country that doesn't have a post-secondary education system. And so it's a great privilege to have a university education. And with that privilege, of course, comes great responsibility. And if you don't make the world a better place with all of that privilege, who's going to do it? I wanted to say a little bit, Martin was referring to this, and by the way, thank you, Martin, for your leadership and for being such an excellent dean of this college. I want to say a little bit about this College of Law's distinguished alumni, because I'm always fascinated by these stories, and I suspect you would be too. Canada's 13th Prime Minister, the Honourable John Diefenbaker, was a graduate of this law school. As you've heard, Canada's 24th Governor-General, the Honourable Rayna Tishon, was. 2 premiers have been graduates of this law school. Tilly Taylor, Saskatchewan's first female magistrate and the first chairperson of the Saskatchewan Human Rights Commission, was a graduate of this law school. 3 former Supreme Court of Canada justices were graduates of this law school. The first Indigenous lawyer to be called to the bar in Western Canada was a graduate of this law school as well. And I like to tell the story for a number of reasons about Supreme Court Justice Emmett Hall. He attended law school here. He was a classmate of John Diefenbaker's. Our boardroom, if you're on the 2nd floor there and you just go down the hall that way about 20 yards, there's a boardroom at the end, and you'll see that it's called the Emmett Hall Boardroom, and there's a little plaque in his honor there. You can read a little bit more about him. He was a graduate of our law school as well. And he proposed compelling reasons for Aboriginal land title existing in British Columbia under common law. I could say a lot about Emmett Hall, but I'll say this about him. That later influenced Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau to begin land claims negotiations with First Nations. Emmett Hall chaired the 1964 Royal Commission, the first Royal Commission on Health Care in Canada. And of course, that was the one, and we're standing and sitting right in the place where all of this percolated. That was the one that recommended Canada adopt Saskatchewan's public health insurance model. It's a fascinating story, and it all began here and has had a huge influence on millions and millions of people who have been citizens of this country ever since. So Emmett Hall was from here, and he understood it. And that's why he had the influence that he had in Ottawa that has typified this country. In his report, and I've always loved this line, I had it put on the plaque there, he wrote that the only thing more expensive than good health care is no health care. He later became chancellor of this university. He was right after Mr. Diefenbaker, who was chancellor, and oversaw convocations right on this stage. Another U of S Law School graduate and former Saskatchewan Lieutenant Governor, Tom Malloy, continued their work as chief negotiator for the Government of Canada in the Nunavut Land Claim Agreement and for the Nisga'a Final Agreement, and that work dubbed him our most recent Father of Confederation. And I just add to all of that, since I'm talking about chancellors and law school graduates and premiers, that law school graduate Roy Romano, later premier of this province and chancellor of this university, continued Emmett Hall's healthcare work. He was the chair of the second Royal Commission on Healthcare in 2002 that recommended transformative changes to ensure its future sustainability in this country. 2 other things that I just wanted to say quickly. As students at this university, you are students at a very research-intensive university that's highly regarded in this country. There are 97 universities in Canada. 15 of them are the top research-intensive universities, one of whose main missions is to do the kind of research that will have a positive impact on meeting the challenges that the world faces today, and we are one of those 15. We're a member of what's called the U15. And that's a really interesting role for this university to have and to play, because it gives us tremendous influence in Ottawa and across the country in terms of how research and development is supported and funded. And a lot of great research has come out of this College of Law. Research that has changed the lives of many people, that has informed the way that we should think about the law, that has informed social justice in this country. And I think it's important that not only the students, but all of their supporters understand the role that this college has played in building a research-intensive university that's one of the tops in Canada. And finally, I'm proud to say, and thank you, Joseph, for all of your introductory remarks as well, that you are a part of a university that is a participant, as I like to put it, and not a bystander in the greatest cultural opportunity that this country faces, and that's reconciliation. And the College of Law has played an enormous role in ensuring that we are that participant and not a bystander in that. So with that, congratulations to all the students here. Congratulations to all of their family and supporters, and please enjoy the rest of this transformative and memorable day. Thank you.
It's one of the great things about this school. We've been around so long. So I think 5 generations of Emmett Hall's family have gone through this school. I taught his great-grandson, who's now a lawyer out in Victoria. Just the contributions that many, many people have made, and you will make those contributions too. And now I'm delighted to introduce another one of those alumnus who made a fantastic contribution to the law. I'm delighted now to welcome our keynote speaker, the Honourable Robert G. Richards. I'm very proud to say that he is a graduate of the University of Saskatchewan College of Law from 1979, and as the recently retired Chief Justice of Saskatchewan, Mr. Richards' career has made a huge impact on this province and the country. He grew up on the family farm near Assiniboia, Saskatchewan. He holds a Bachelor of Commerce degree from 1975 and a Bachelor of Laws degree from 1979, both from the University of Saskatchewan, and he holds a Master of Laws from Harvard Law School. He was Mr. Justice Martlin's law clerk at the Supreme Court of Canada, then became a parliamentary intern in the House of Commons, and later became an associate lawyer with Gowling and Henderson in Ottawa. He also served as Chief of Staff to another one of our notable graduates, the Right Honourable Ray Natishan, and was then Director of Constitutional Law in the Saskatchewan Department of Justice, which over its time has been one of the greatest law offices in the country. He was a partner at McPherson, Leslie and Tyman in Regina from 1991 to 2004. During his career, he appeared as counsel in over 40 Supreme Court of Canada appeals. Mr. Richards was appointed directly to the Court of Appeal for Saskatchewan in 2004 and was appointed Chief Justice for the Court of Appeal and Chief Justice of Saskatchewan in 2013, holding that office until his retirement in the fall of 2023. During the course of his career, he's held many leadership positions in the legal community, Chair of the Supreme Court of Canada Canadian Bar Association Liaison Committee, Co-Chair of the National Canadian Bar Association Constitution and Human Rights Law Section, Vice Chair and Council Member of the International Commission of Jurists, Director of the Canadian Institute for Advanced Legal Studies, Chair of the Saskatchewan Provincial Court Judicial Council, and First Vice Chair of the Canadian Judicial Council. The other thing I want to say about Bob, before I welcome him to the stage, is what a wonderful supporter of the college he has been and during his time as Chief Justice. I'm probably going to embarrass him a little bit with this story, but Bob would come every January to talk to the first year class about legal writing, the importance of good writing. And I remember one January day, it was one of those January days in Saskatchewan, just a filthy day where you really don't want to go outside. But Bob appeared, he drove up from Regina, and I said, wow, this is amazing. I didn't know if you're going to show up, and thank you for doing this. You really didn't have to do this. He said, yes, he did. Yes, I did. It's my job. I'm the Chief Justice of Saskatchewan. And I think that's an indication of Bob's commitment to the college and to service, and so it is my great pleasure to welcome a dear friend of the college to the stage to deliver the keynote address, the Honourable Robert G. Richards.
Thank you very much, Dean Phillipson, for that comprehensive introduction. It's an honor to have been asked to participate in this ceremony, and I very much appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak this afternoon. You know, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a speaker in my position, it involves quite a bit of pressure to begin your remarks with a funny story or a joke of some sort. We've kind of developed a cultural expectation that a keynote speaker will say something amusing at the beginning of his or her remarks. And I expect if you were honest, many of you this afternoon would admit that you're kind of thinking that if Richards has anything at all going for him, he'll start things off with a little bit of a joke. And all of that makes me think of former US President Jimmy Carter. He once spoke to a very important audience in Japan and did so with the assistance of an interpreter. He opened his remarks with a rather long and somewhat complicated joke and then paused for the translator to tell the story in Japanese. The translator spoke really only very briefly, but the joke seemed to go over very well. There was hearty laughter and applause. And at the end of the evening, Carter sought out the translator and asked him how he had managed to convey such a complicated joke in relatively very brief terms. The translator smiled and said, "Oh, I just say, President, tell funny joke, please laugh." So I thought of asking Martin to just say, "Richards, tell funny joke, please laugh," but I decided not to do that. Well, members of the class of 2027, please accept my warm congratulations on having been admitted to law school. As others have noted, just getting through the doors of the college is a not insignificant feat in and of itself, and I join today's other speakers in congratulating you on that accomplishment. For my part, I can tell you that opting to study law was one of the best decisions I ever made, and I hope that when you are my age, you can look back on your decision to go to law school and be able to say the very same thing. Now, I'm not so old that I don't know that getting on the road in law school involves dealing with a lot of pressing practical issues. Things like settling into your apartment, buying textbooks, trying to read your first case reports, getting to know some of your new classmates, and so on and so forth. All of that's necessary, and it's understandable, and it's obviously very appropriate. But this afternoon, I want to invite you to expand your focus. I want to draw the camera back from your immediate day-to-day concerns and take a look at the bigger picture, to consider where you and your legal studies and your ultimate careers will fit into the world in which we live. And more specifically, I want to talk to you about something called the rule of law, and about the opportunities that you as law students and then as members of the legal profession will have in relation to safeguarding and advancing that ideal. And in doing so, I'm going to develop in a bit more detail some of the notions that were referred to by President Stoichev. The rule of law, of course, is a bedrock principle that informs and underpins and gives shape to constitutional democracies like Canada. It's frankly difficult to overstate the significance of the rule of law in supporting democracy, ensuring justice, creating peace and stability, and promoting prosperity and personal well-being. The rule of law is, pure and simple, one of humankind's noblest and most significant achievements. That bold statement having been made, let me look a bit more closely at what the rule of law involves. Its most familiar feature is the idea that all individuals, persons, and entities, whether public or private, are accountable in the same way under the law. This means, for example, that Justin Trudeau can't throw his critics in jail just because he is Prime Minister. It means that Richard Wagner, in his position as Chief Justice of Canada, can't ignore his income tax obligations or his agreement to buy a house. It means that a businessman like Peter Nygard, much in the news this week, can't escape liability for sexual assaults just because he's rich. The idea, to repeat, is that the law applies equally to everyone, regardless of their station in life, regardless of their wealth, and regardless of their power. Now, in addition to the notion of equality, a proper conception of the rule of law involves other considerations as well. Let me flag 4 of them. The first is the notion that legal processes must be fair and impartial. This includes the extraordinarily important idea of an independent and unbiased judiciary, untouched by corruption and free from behind-the-scenes influences by politicians or anyone else for that matter. Relatedly, trials themselves must be things that involve fair procedures. That, of course, includes the right of individuals who are facing liability to mount a defense. So the rule of law contemplates thoroughly independent judges who resolve disputes by way of fair hearings. The second aspect of the rule of law that I want to mention is the principle of legal certainty. And by that I mean the idea that the law itself must be clear, stable, and accessible. This is necessary for there to be a predictable legal environment so people can make informed decisions and know the consequences of their actions. So, no laws made in secret, no laws involving retroactive liability. Third, the rule of law is usually taken to include the notion of protecting fundamental rights and freedoms. In other words, it involves the idea that laws will safeguard individual rights, and that if they don't or fail to, there will be remedies for such failures. So to put it another way, the concept of the rule of law contemplates the protection of things like freedom of speech and freedom of assembly, and the right not to be arbitrarily detained, and it anticipates that the violations of such rights can be vindicated. The fourth and final additional aspect of the rule of law that I want to highlight is the idea of access to justice. This is the concept that everyone should be able to make use of the courts or similar institutions to assert their lawful entitlements and to obtain redress for the unlawful actions of others. The point here, obviously, is that there can be no real justice if the tools to enforce rights are beyond the reach of the individuals whose rights are being offended. So, in a very brief nutshell, that is the rule of law. As indicated, it's a concept that's central to democratic life, to the management and control of both state and private power, to the realization of justice, and to the promotion of the stability and predictability that's needed to ensure both national and individual prosperity and well-being. As I said earlier, it's difficult to overstate this importance. Now, in a country like Canada, it's very easy to take the rule of law for granted and to somehow assume that it's the normal and natural state of affairs. While we Canadians haven't done a perfect job in realizing rule of law ideals, and while there's obviously always room for improvement, we do score highly on the rule of law front. Equality before the law and fair trials in particular are just part of the air that we breathe. That's how things are and how we assume they will work. So in this regard, the rule of law is a bit like good health. It's something that's hard to appreciate or even notice while you're enjoying it. Its significance becomes apparent only after you've lost it, only after you're in the hospital, so to speak. But of course, the rule of law is not the norm. And in fact, it is absolutely exceptional. Even a cursory look around the world reveals this sad fact very clearly. Here are some quick examples of what I'm talking about. In Russia, the judiciary and law enforcement agencies are severely compromised and, in effect, often act as Vladimir Putin's agents. Witness, for instance, the deeply disturbing tale of Alexei Navalny. In China, the Communist Party has absolute control over the judicial system and it uses it to stifle calls for reform and to advance whatever other agendas it sees fit. Here we need look no further than what befell Canada's two Michaels beginning in 2018. In Nigeria, by way of another example, corruption is a pervasive problem that affects the judiciary, government, and law enforcement. It's said that the country's special anti-corruption agencies have themselves become corrupted. Studies reveal that over 70% of Nigerians have been asked to pay bribes. And of course, the simple fact that a state has embraced the rule of law is no guarantee that the rule of law will endure. There is a long list of countries whose histories illustrate this point all too vividly. Hungary is just one example of what I'm talking about. It was only a relatively few years ago that watchdog groups were describing Hungary as a leading democracy in Eastern Europe. However, Prime Minister Orban subsequently proceeded to systematically transform his country into what's now seen as an autocracy. Among other things, he packed the courts with political loyalists who would uphold his agenda, and he engineered an acute failure to follow through on prosecutions in corruption cases. Members of the European Parliament have recently described Hungary as no longer being a fully functioning democracy. Worrying stories about the decline of the rule of law and democracy can also be told about many other countries where those things once seemed to be really fairly, firmly, and stably rooted. These include Venezuela, the Philippines, Mexico, Turkey, and India. Even just across the border in the United States, we see things like attempts to weaponize the Justice Department for personal gain, an ongoing attack on the integrity of public institutions, including the courts, and a focused effort to handcuff the courts by stacking them with ideologues. It's striking and it's sad that in its 2023 report, the World Justice Project concluded that over 6 billion people live in countries where the rule of law is being eroded. In light of all of this, and to repeat, it is entirely appropriate and entirely accurate to see the rule of law as being not the norm, but as being very much the exception. It is in the nature of a garden carved out of the jungle. It exists in spite of the world around it. A garden that is always at risk of being overrun by invading vines and weeds. A garden that endures and prospers only if the vines are trimmed and cut back, and only if the weeds are pulled, not just once, but again and again and again on an ongoing basis. And this, of course, as President Stoichev indicated, is where the class of 2027 comes into the picture. Ladies and gentlemen, by virtue of your study of the law and by virtue of your eventual entry into the legal profession, you will be in the front lines of the ongoing struggle to defend and promote the rule of law in Canada and beyond. To extend my jungle metaphor, you will be important gardeners, and the basic forms of the tools that you will use in this regard will be the ones put into your hands over the next 3 years at the College of Law. Your torts class, for example, will reveal how the law is used to peacefully address civil wrongs. Your procedure and evidence classes will expose you to the rules that ensure fair trials. Your moot court program will give you experience in marshalling and presenting arguments that ensure justice is done. Your ethics class will help you to understand the culture of integrity that characterizes the rule of law, and so on and so on. And then, as the years after your graduation unfold, some of you will become defense lawyers, working to ensure that in punishing crime, the state nonetheless respects the fundamental rights of accused persons. Some of you will be government lawyers, helping to ensure that ministers and public institutions stay within the bounds of their lawful mandates. Some of you will be commercial lawyers, advising clients to help them abide by the laws that they have to navigate. Some of you, I hope, will hold public office and bring a lawyer's appreciation for fairness and due process to the political sphere. And also, without doubt, some of you will be judges charged with fairly and impartially applying the law to the problems of people who appear before you. In short, you will all, in some way or another, come to inhabit the legal and constitutional architecture that makes up and makes possible the Canada that we know. By virtue of that, you will be intimately involved in protecting and giving effect to the rule of law. And notably, let me emphasize, you will be well positioned to speak out against and to oppose actions and initiatives and attitudes that threaten the rule of law. Needless to say, all of this involves, I think it's fair to say, an awesome responsibility. But it also offers an awesome opportunity. You are very fortunate to be heading into a world where what you say and do can really make a difference. And so, in conclusion, members of the first-year class, I respectfully urge each and every one of you in the years ahead to very deliberately and very consciously do your part in protecting and advancing the rule of law. I urge you to take good care of the garden that those who have gone before have worked so hard to put in place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. I would now like to welcome our cloakers to the stage. We're grateful that they include current student leaders and many distinguished representatives from the legal community, including a number of College of Law alumni. Cloakers, please join me on the stage. I was recently asked about the significance of the black gowns that the students will receive today. One of my predecessors, Sanjeev Anand, who is now a provincial court judge, provided some background about the gowns when he spoke at the ceremony in 2022. The gowns are black for two reasons. Firstly, the black gowns serve to distinguish this ceremony from the white coat ceremonies held by medicine, dentistry, veterinary medicine, etc. Secondly, and most importantly, the black gown is symbolic of the tunic that was worn by individuals as a sign of learning until the middle of the 14th century. And it was that academic gown that we're now all familiar with that was adopted and subsequently modified by Oxford and Cambridge and then the legal profession in England. It symbolizes to students and their families that the students are progressing into a field of higher learning and that this field is both a privilege and an opportunity. And it marks the beginning of an important new chapter in their lives. And I want to introduce the cloakers who will be part of welcoming these students. And please step forward as I introduce you. Amy Constant, who's a College of Law student and president of our Indigenous Law Students Association. Mark Dolan, a College of Law alumnus, a partner at Lakefield LLP and the president of the CBA Saskatchewan. Lorne Fagnan, College of Law alumnus and a partner at McKercher LLP. Terry Kempinski, KC, a College of Law alumnus and partner at Leland Kempinski. Professor Colton Fair, College of Law alumnus and a professor here at the College of Law. Alicia Hunter, a College of Law alumnus, a partner at Pachomchuk Sherdal Hunter and current president of the Saskatchewan Trial Lawyers Association. Sarah Knowles, a College of Law alumnus and legal counsel with the Saskatchewan Health Authority. Chief Judge Shannon Mativia, who wants to be the Chief Justice of Saskatchewan.
Very comfortable.
Yeah, it's good to have life goals. Who spoke earlier representing the Provincial Court. And last but not least, Sam Riendo, College of Law student and president of the Law Students Association. Okay, let's welcome them. And let things begin.
Syed Ali Abbas, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Christopher Adikboju from Cambridge, Ontario.
Mashoud Ahmed, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
David Allen, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Elif Attila, Edmonton, Alberta.
Cameron Bailey, Calgary, Alberta.
Rachel Barker, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Megan Bentham, Kelowna, British Columbia.
Summer Beyer, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Masuda Vidar, Waterloo, Ontario.
Jake Bedell Helcrow, Calgary, Alberta.
Jaden Bloomhagen, Galahad, Alberta.
Hallie Barassa, Radville, Saskatchewan.
Lucas Brown, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Drew Bullets, Harton, Saskatchewan.
Stephanie Chilak, Calgary, Alberta.
Vance Cobbler, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Kiana Codio, Chapways First Nation.
Jeffrey Capel, North Battleford, Saskatchewan.
Nick Dan, Victoria, BC.
Ahmed Daoud, Edmonton, Alberta.
Ted Hanna Castro de la Cruz from Frontier, Saskatchewan, and Pangasinan, Philippines.
Carolina Dollywall, Calgary, Alberta.
Noelle Dilling, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Sam Dufrith, Edmonton, Alberta.
Evan Adele, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Benjamin Fairweather, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Faith Fable, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Lana Fayette, Edmonton, Alberta.
Matthew Fenton, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Abby Fung, Calgary, Alberta.
Skylar Gagne, Calgary, Alberta.
Kayla Gardiner, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Aiden Gatsky, Swift Current, Saskatchewan.
Hajra Gumman, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Zoe Gates, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Veronica Gainacha, Watrous, Saskatchewan.
Austin Goyer, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Angad Grewal, Edmonton, Alberta, by way of Chandigarh, India.
Tona Hagen, Haugesund, Norway.
True Hamilton, Edmonton, Alberta.
Morgan Hammond, Didsbury, Alberta.
Luther Harkley, Shawnigan Lake, British Columbia.
Landon Henderson, Lethbridge, Alberta.
Mark Ursina, Red Deer, Alberta.
Sarah Hodson, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Aim Tun, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Paige Hubany, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Miles Hunter, Calgary, Alberta.
Muskan Jaswal, Calgary, Alberta.
Kaylin Johnson, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Amal Joma, Edmonton, Alberta.
Rachel Zhang, Calgary, Alberta, and South Korea.
Ariane Callan, Calgary, Alberta.
Luke Karwacki, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Janae Kent, Calgary, Alberta.
Jaylin Kim, Regina, Saskatchewan, and South Korea.
Connor Kempinski, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Kiana Kozak, Edmonton, Alberta.
Jordan Gacharski, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Faint Olulau Shibikon, Melfort, Saskatchewan.
Adam Larocque, Conquest, Saskatchewan.
Reed Leclerc, Edmonton, Alberta.
Sungyeon Lee, Edmonton, Alberta, and South Korea.
Robbie Lee Phillipson, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Kaylin Leslie, Calgary, Alberta.
Jeffrey Lin, Milton, Ontario.
Alex Lesquich, Regina, Saskatchewan.
April McCambridge, Sudbury, Ontario.
Jenna Miley, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Owen Mativier, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Cedric Michelet, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
JC Mitchell, Hinton, Alberta.
Walter Mizak, Hamilton, Ontario.
Josefa Zaidullah Mohammed Zay, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and Peshawar, Pakistan.
Kiera Monroe, Yellow Quill First Nations, Treaty 4 territory.
Ashley Nychuk, Treaty 4 territory, Saskatchewan.
Natalie Afokany, Tisdale, Saskatchewan.
Tamik Tukba Joy, Olu Sanya, Brandon, Manitoba, and Nigeria.
Stephen Orr, Melfort, Saskatchewan.
Adrian Poplo, Calgary, Alberta.
Olivia Patton, Calgary, Alberta.
Jarrett Penner, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Tom Pickrell, St. Albert, Alberta.
Riley Pitcher, Lethbridge, Alberta.
Tyler Poloski, Edmonton, Alberta.
Austin Prezalowski, Esterhazy, Saskatchewan.
Tristan Randall, Calgary, Alberta.
Emily Rayome, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Jenna Renwick, Milestone, Saskatchewan.
Anna Raisler, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Joshua Ripchuk, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Bali Sahota, Calgary, Alberta.
Reese Santos, Edmonton, Alberta.
John Shappert, Edmonton, Alberta.
Nolan Showerty, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Brittany Shillhouse, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Garen Scher, Unity, Saskatchewan.
Alina Snenning, Edmonton, Alberta.
Meekna Sharma, Calgary, Alberta.
Austin Whip, Whitehorse, Yukon.
Benjamin Michael Schifrin from Edmonton, Alberta.
Tyler Slaney from Prince George, British Columbia.
Katie Sparling, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Haley Stakowski, Holden, Alberta.
Jalen Stonechild, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Michelle Strauss, Waterloo, Ontario.
Tatiana Tepfats, Calgary, Alberta.
Max Thomas, Comox, British Columbia.
Edward Tian, Burnaby, British Columbia.
Brenna Vanstone, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Isabella Varish, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Caitlin Wabick, Grand Prairie, Alberta.
Chanel Walters, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Hannah Wark, Regina, Saskatchewan. Ellen Wark, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Ryan Welch, Wainwright, Alberta.
Trista Welsh, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Oh.
Trista Welsh, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Elena Welts, Calgary, Alberta.
Anna Weeb, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Joshua Weeb, Herschel, Saskatchewan.
Alan Yaskowicz, Wynyard, Saskatchewan.
Matthew Yip, Edmonton, Alberta.
Michaela Ziegler, Regina, Saskatchewan.
Devin Zintel, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Kyle Zdzinski, Grand Prairie, Alberta.
Thanks to our cloakers. We were honored that you were part of the ceremony today. So ladies and gentlemen, please thank our cloakers. Don't worry, we're almost there. We're getting there. I'm going to now invite Professor Heather Haven, the College of Law's Associate Dean Academic, to recite the Educator Commitment on behalf of the faculty at the college.
Thank you, Martin. I just want to let everyone know in the program we have an institutional commitment, a student commitment, and an educator's commitment. And these are all taken from our learning charter at the University of Saskatchewan because it's a commitment to engage in our learning as a three-way triangle between the instructors, the institution, and the students. I see some of my colleagues in the audience, so I'd ask you to also turn to the page in the program that contains those commitments and join with me. So this is the educator commitment. As professors at the University of Saskatchewan College of Law, we commit to creating a positive learning environment for our students by exemplifying active learning and curiosity, demonstrating broad thinking, following ethical principles, and engaging respectfully with students and peers. We commit to striving for excellence in teaching by maintaining a high level of subject matter knowledge and ensuring that content is current, accurate, relevant to learning outcomes, and representative of the knowledge and skills being taught. We commit to developing respectful and inclusive learning environments that support student learning by creating experiences where students feel respected, valued, and empowered to contribute. And we further commit to creating and upholding the academic expectations and standards expected of the profession and of a professional education in law.
I'm going to now ask our students to rise and repeat after me as we recite the student commitment found on page 4 of the program. So we'll do this nice and slow. As a law student at the University of Saskatchewan College of Law, I will, to the best of my ability, engage in a respectful way with local, national, and global members of community and society. Contribute to the creation of a respectful and inclusive university community. Actively engage in the learning process. Undertake all learning activities with academic and ethical integrity. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a warm round of applause as I present to you the class of 2027. Okay, students and guests, you can be seated. Almost finished. A couple of things. One, they'll never look smarter than this ever, so remember that moment. And secondly, I do want to say to those up there that we take our responsibilities to our students very seriously. The legal profession has woken up to the fact that it is often not a well profession and it has issues with wellness. So you have entrusted us with your children, your partners, etc., and we have a strong commitment to wellness in the college, and we will take care of them. We encourage them to speak up if they are struggling, to speak to you, to speak to us, to speak to their professors. We're here to help you. That is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of professionalism that when you are struggling, you speak up and seek help. You cannot serve your clients if you are not healthy. You cannot serve them to the best of your ability. So we will take care of your family members, your loved ones, but they have an obligation. If you struggle, speak up. It is not a sign of weakness. You won't be punished for that. We will take care of you. But again, that is part of being a professional, that you admit when you have an issue, and the profession and us, your professors and others, will help you deal with it. Okay, this is a fun part where we get to give away money. The next part of the event is the presentation of some of the college's most significant entrance awards. Several students received letters to inform them that they'd received one of these awards, and I now invite those students to head over to see Katie, who's going to give you a wave at the side of the stage. That way you can avoid the fighting your way down the row, walking all the way to the front, when all I can think of is the Jeopardy music in my head while we're waiting for you to get to the front of the stage. This way you can avoid, again, a very awkward walk. While the students make their way to the stage, it's an opportune time to say thank you to our donors. The College of Law is grateful for each and every donor and for each gift we receive, whether large or small. All are meaningful and appreciated. We rely on the financial support of alumni and friends to assist us in funding bursaries, scholarships, and many other initiatives that impact the student experience at the college. For some students, law school would not be an option without the financial support they receive from our donors. There are various criteria for the entrance awards presented today, including academic achievement and leadership, and we're very proud of each award winner. Firstly, the Gary and Tammy Bujo Centennial Entrance Award is presented to Rachel Barker. The Robert L. Pierce and Eleanor D. Pierce Entrance Scholarship is awarded to Adam LaRocque. The recipient of the Rolco Radio John Gormley Mature Law Student Award is Walter Mizek. The William Elliott Scholarship is presented to Amel Jomha. And now I would like to invite Adam Tue back on stage, minus blonde tips, to present the Law Society of Saskatchewan Scholarship. This year's recipient is Aidan Gatsky. Thanks, Sam. I would now like to invite Ms. Erin Eccleston to present the MLT Aikens LLP Scholarship in Law. Erin.
Sounds good. Hi, I'm Erin Eccleston. I'm a partner with MLT Aikens here in Saskatoon. Welcome to the class of 2027. It is my pleasure to present the MLT Aikens LLP Scholarship in Law to Angad Grewal.
There are two recipients of the Harris and Loretta and Raymond Earl Parr Memorial Scholarship. They are Cedric Michelet and Samuel Dufrith. I'd now ask Leanne Scheinbein, Board Chair of the Law Foundation of Saskatchewan, to join me to present the Law Foundation of Saskatchewan's 25th Anniversary Scholarship. This year's recipient is Joshua Wiebe. The Brian Crane Gowling WLG Scholarship in Indigenous Law is awarded to Kiera Monroe. The Morris and Jackie Shumiacha Scholarship in Law is awarded to Jenna Miley. The Mohinder Chada Award in Law goes to Kaylin Johnson. The winner of the Justice John Marr Memorial Scholarship is Morgan Hammond. The Thomas P. and Peter S. Dace World War II Memorial Scholarship is awarded to Drew Bulitz. The P.E. Mackenzie Entrance Scholarship is awarded to J.C. Mitchell. And finally, we have the James M. Stevenson Entrance Scholarship is awarded to Joshua Ribchuk. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our ceremony, but you're not getting out of here just yet. Before you leave to move over to Marquis Hall for the reception, I want to ask you to wait in your seats so the students can make their way outside, straight through those big doors, where a photographer will take a picture of the whole group. The photo will just take a couple of minutes, so we appreciate your patience. I want to thank all of our speakers and honored guests for making the time out of their busy schedules to come and celebrate a fantastic day. I want to make a special mention of all the staff at the College of Law. We have a great tradition in the college that all the staff pitch in at these events and do a wonderful job. I want to single out Katie Richard for fantastic organization skills. But a round of applause, please, for all the staff at the college for their support. And I hope you'll join us all at Marquis Hall for the reception, and our staff will be outside to direct you. But if I can ask the students now to start leaving, and thanks to everybody for attending today's ceremony and helping our students celebrate. Thank you very much.